Nadi Shodhana seemed like a really good pick for Chhinnamasta, since she is so representative of the energy flowing through the Sushumna channel. And so when you're doing alternate nostril breathing, you are kind of clearing the left channel and the right channel, the Ida and the Pingala. And I was just talking to my mom about it before everyone hopped on, and she said a teacher had described it to her as sort of flossing the nadis to get the sushumna ready to descend that amrita down to the root, to the base, so that you can then lift it up through all the centers and get that kundalini shakti flowing. So the Pingala is the right nostril embodying the sun. It has a heating effect, and it's linked to actually to the left brain function, which is associated with active external energy, intellectual pursuits, and rational reasoning. When this nostril is open, it's a good time for taking math tests, digesting food, or making a sales presentation, according to one source. Just different ways that you can kind of start to, I don't know, capitalize on the somatics. And then the Ida is the left nostril, the more yin side. It represents the moon. It's more cooling, linked to internal energy and the right side of the brain. It's connected to imagination, intuitive thinking, and subjective decisions. When it's open, it's great for creative thinking, poetry, writing, listening to music, or painting. So I think everybody here has pretty ample experience with alternate nostril breathing. But what we'll do is we'll start with an inhale on the left. You always switch on the right. And I'm just going to set like a 4-minute timer for us. And you might notice I actually switch hands throughout because like my right shoulder gets tired. That might be blasphemy, but it's the way I do it. So everyone can do as they please. Does anyone have questions about how to do alternate nostril breathing? Like I said, I think we're all pretty experienced with it. So I'll have music on for this. And I'll set a 4-minute timer in just a second. So as you please, you can go ahead and get started. Letting your hands come to a rest and taking a couple of breaths to just observe the observing. Allow the allowing. And then closing this meditation however you please, maybe hands at heart center, bowing down. Great. So what we're going to do now that we're rooted here in the present moment with everybody is step into our sharing about Kali and how you experienced a week of working with her mantra, yantra, form, and various ways of meditating with her. So if anybody wants to go ahead and step in, I'm going to go ahead and I think it sounds like Mom wants to go. I think I'm going to put 5-minute timers on us. Yes, Mom.
I actually have a question. Would you review for us some of those ponderings that you post to us?
Sure.
Thank you. And then I don't want to share first, but I just wanted you to do that.
That's fair. Let's see. So with Kali, in general, with what we're going to do every week is step into observation of the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body. So with gross body, it came down to like, what do you hear, feel, see, taste, smell, and how's your body feeling? How's your digestion? How's your sleep? With the subtle, it's paying more attention to the subtleties of those senses and of your dream state and of your interactions and, that kind of action at a distance type of phenomenon. And then the causal is observing the interplay between the illusion, Maya, and the universal truth, Brahman. Then Kali specific, time, what is your relationship to time? Where does that benefit you or inhibit you? Observing that the only constant is change. There's actually quite a few for Kali, but okay, creation and destruction, what is your relationship to life and death? Where does this benefit you or inhibit you? Where do you see it everyday life? What do the concepts infinite and finite mean to you with relation to Kali as being? What do you cling to? What is the effect of this clinging? Nirvana, what is your relationship to knowing and not knowing? Observing your certainties with quotation marks. Kali as air, do you feel empowered or disempowered by things that are quick, transformative, and unpredictable? Observing whether or not the air that you breathe is in fact yours. Kali as action, how can surrender be an action? And how often do you have the choice to surrender and how often do you use it? Kali as beauty, how beauty standards affect your life in both kind of like your body image, but also in art and aesthetics and nature. And how does beauty make you feel? And as the consort of Shiva, considering the difference between animate and inanimate and how can you be sure what the difference is? and also the observation opportunity there, noticing the moving force, the action behind all things. So with those reviews, does anybody want to jump in and share what they experienced this week or how they went about practicing, what they enjoyed, what they noticed? Ideally, everybody's going to share, right? Annette, it looks like you're muted.
I'll go for it.
Thank you for volunteering. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little timer on just so that it stays, you know, timely for everybody. Okay, so please feel free.
So I have a physical practice that I do, and it's quite a long one. So I was intrigued to know how I was going to bring this meditation into this physical practice. And I sent you what popped up on my Facebook. Now, just as a clarification, Facebook is is the way the universe communicates with me. So if ever there's anything in my mind, or I have a thought or a problem, and I go to bed and I wake up the next day, usually there's something on my Facebook timeline that is apropos. So I shared that with the group, which was Krishna Das's song list, which was dedicated to the 9 goddesses. And I thought, okay. So the answer to my question there was, I will use that list of music to do my workout to. Normally I don't use music. So that was one thing that happened. And I sat with my journal and I did quite a lot of writing. And I thought, well, yeah. Anyway, so I'm just going to share this and then I'm done. All right. So this is called Conversation with Kali. Lost in the flames of knowing, caressed by the warmth of your love, I sit in patient absorption, only to hear the echoes of your laughter. Human spirit, close enough to believe you can feel our presence. In attainment, you are as distant from us as that virus is from you. Prematurely weary of the journey, you seek only peace and enlightenment. Your journey is not yet done, and there are no shortcuts. Understand that as you strive to grasp the elusive cosmic laser dot of your choosing, the light at the end of the tunnel that is your own personal flamethrower, we are toying with you, providing you with playful opportunities to relieve yourself of the weight of your certainty. You have become obese through overconsumption of the sweet gifts of sentience, but have never learned what it means to be a sentient being. Your untamed ignorance is dangerous to the planet, to yourselves, and to your gods. Foolish parasite paradoxically killing that which sustains it. As the crown of a pyramid depends upon the smallest grain of sand to hold it aloft, so we gods are dependent on all that supports our elevation. It is the resonance of multiple minute frequencies that create our infinite symphony. That is why we care for you. That is why we listen to your prayers and nourish you with our inspiration. We need you, as you are needed by all that support you. You raise your eyes to us with mouths open like fledgling beaks, ever squawking, unfeathered wings incapable of flight, stretched in an empty embrace. How many times do you, like us, look down with gratitude and love for all that sustains you? It is the sweet breath, the magnificent exhalation of uncountable millions of simpler beings that will raise you up to where you aspire to be. Seek transcendence in your care of them, and you will be transformed in a single beat of their collective hearts. That's it. I'm done.
Annette, that was beautiful and so inspired. Thank you so much. And also, that's great timing. Annette mentioned that the mandala behind her was Kali inspired too. So it's a new creation of hers. That's so cool to see how Kali inspiration moved through you. I certainly didn't write any poetry, so thanks for sharing. I love that. Who would like to go next? Does everybody is everybody planning on sharing? Because if that's the case, I'm just going to start calling on people. Okay, go for it, Mom.
Okay. I found this very interesting when I look back over my life, and how I view time and how I view the flow of energy. And for a long time, I wanted to dominate time and dominate energy, thinking that physically I could do that. And it took decades and decades and lots of getting hit on the head before, very, very slowly, I changed, and now I view time as such a comfort. I love time. I love the whole expanse of it, and I find it really, really comforting. And I thought this week, as I was thinking about Kali, after in my meditation practice and such, I view time as flowing, energy is flowing, and I like the interplay in my own personal practice of trying to figure out when I'm in the physical, pranic, and causal realms, and when I'm fooling myself, and when I don't even know that I'm fooling myself. And so I love the interplay that's always going on in the practice. So that's it.
Thank you.
I know, it was a little obscure, sorry, but.
Not at all. I mean, these are the topics that we're dealing with when it comes to Kali. Like, time is such a, like you said, expansive, flowing subject. And I think that, like you've said in the class before, is like coming up with different connotations and understandings of these words that we're taught. And it's like, oh, time, like what time is it? But there's way more than that, right? Azadeh is here. So thank you for your share. Just want to give, hi, Azadeh. So we're going through our shares of how we experienced Kali throughout the week. Were you able to spend any time meditating on her or working with her? You said you worked with the yantra and the mantra. Would you like to share? Because on my speaker view, you're actually next in like a spiral from Mom who just shared. So, or would you like to hear a couple shares first?
And namaste, everyone. Hi. I just got here, so I would love to hear a little bit more what everyone is saying, and then I'll at the end I will.
Annette had a
next.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry. I can go next when you're done.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. This week I kept Kali in mind, and I kept our conversations in mind, and it challenged me in many ways. It challenged me to re-examine fear. I don't know the right words, more or less inhibitions. Just kind of reevaluate, is this real? Is this not real? And in terms of weather, winter snow and blizzard and such are coming upon us, and in fact yesterday and today. So this week I just chose to play, and I felt comfortable in thinking that I'm not going to let the cold and the unknown keep me from my progress, my journey. And it worked out just wonderfully. I was more spontaneous, and also I took it upon myself to challenge people who may be wanting to project power via editorial section in the newspaper. I contacted the editor of the paper and asked, why are you always letting this person write his ideas that just kind of encourage ignorance and fear? So, and then I decided to just really hone in on experience of joy and sharing that. I really love the water. I love being in the outdoors. So I continued working out in the water, and I have been subbing for a friend of mine for water aerobics. So I prolonged my time in the water, and I really felt energized and very strong. And just the joy of being in the present moment and enjoying those exercise, exploring, and extending Kali's creativity. I felt more energized and shared that with my class, and they really enjoyed it. We just had so much fun playing water games, being silly, acting crazy, but getting a good workout. And I also extended Kali's, well, the flow of energy and air. I love being in the outdoors. And even though it was so frigid and so cold, I bundled up and I took walks in the around the lake at a nearby park. And then I now feel like, okay, I've pushed through that threshold. I no longer have that fear of the unknown. So that's my summary.
I love that. No longer have fear of the unknown. That's very cool. And I like how there was an expansive quality of like you bringing that Kali energy to your community through the swim lessons or by reaching out to the newspaper. So thank you. Leila, I think maybe you were going to volunteer to share. Would you like to go?
Sure. So my experience this week, it's interesting that Carly's about time because, you know, I used to be really good at doing things in time, and more this year, I realized that time's kind of, I haven't been very good at focusing, and I've equally been not very good at multitasking. And I'm running an online training that starts in a month's time. So I decided to use Carly's. And so I've always, of course, always been dabbling with it, but I just have never really found the time to sit still for hours on end. And, you know, there's always a distraction. There's always like laundry that needs putting away, or essential oils or crystals that need to go outside. And, you know, so this idea of time's just been really fascinating. So I decided to use Carly's presence. So I was really using her image and her kind of badass to cut away the bullshit, cut away the excuses, make the time. And then equally, kind of being aware of how, you know, right here in Cyprus at the moment, you can feel the season changing. So a lot of people are cutting back trees, and there's new shoots growing on trees and fruits rotting on trees, and that kind of cycle of time. So like knowing that the time I've got with my family at the moment, with my sister, that, you know, okay, having one or two distractions to make the most of the present moment, because we're not going to get it again. So like kind of just juggling that cycle of life and time and focus, and just using her mantra and her like her image to meditate and stay focused. So I've been using her in that way in this week. It's been successful. I've been sat on my computer a lot.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that you're able to like channel it and focus it. And I love that you use her form. I think I'm learning that maybe you, of everyone in the group, enjoy the forms. But cool. Thank you for that share.
Thank you
Who
too.
would like to go next? Barbara? Oh, I think you're still muted, Barbara. go.
I spent the week trying to be more focused on time and meditating in a timely fashion rather than being all over the place. I used the yantra for focusing without necessarily on the bindi in the center, because that seems to be the all-powerful thing. So I was looking at more geometric shapes. I used the time for the 108 repeatings and made myself like focus. So this Kali's time, let me use my time instead of being, I'm very vata, so I'm generally all over the place. So I try to bring and channel it back in. And I have a room that I call my God room, that certain people think that it's like too much energy or it's too much. So I used it with water and flowers and incense and to take it down, and then take the energy to drink the water and take the energy and take it out on the roads with me. I run with a group, so I use that as my grouping and sharing of her, and leaving her mantras playing in the God room whilst I was out running, so that I had something to come back with. I would participate, take it out, and bring it back in again. So I was using my time to float around. So it's been interesting. I think maybe she made me a little more vata than I should be, or that I'm normally but it was focusing this time, sort of saying, okay, the 108, work with it, stay with it, don't float off into somewhere, focus. And she's an interesting goddess. I love her because I love the tongue. I love the fire that's there. So that was my week with her. A lot of music.
Thank you. Oh, how interesting. I love how viscerally you seemed to feel her presence, and in like realizing you're a Vata person and her being air, and how it really did affect you in that way. Yes. I would love to hear how Terry experienced it, because I know she also identifies as quite Vata. But sounds like an interesting week. In your God room sounds awesome. Who do we have left between me and Azadeh? So it's either you or me, Azadeh. Would you like to go, or would you like to go after me?
Sure, I can go. I should say I started a little bit later to practice and meditate with Goddess Kali, but I found it the best time to really go with this goddess, because it is now autumn, and the time which changes, it is this whole cycle of changes and the transformation. It was very easy to follow and very naturally to meditate upon her, especially the time aspect of it. Then I could also connect very well with these time that we live in and the changes that are happening. And I could just see that as a little dust in the whole universe, the changes that is happening, that might be that we are really overreacting towards what's happening around COVID, and we're taking it to a level of really making it a mental problem mostly. And how we can look at it in a different way, maybe just from another perspective, out of this panic and really overreacting towards it. So also the whole demonstration which was happening was also around this. So I could really have that strength and another way of looking at things, what is happening, not only from one point, rather just going a little bit beyond what is being fed through social media and just one channel or limited channel. So I think I'm really grateful for this chance to have the connection with the tools that we get, and we can just go out there and have a more wider view over what's happening around us. And the mantra gave me strength to go through that time and have the stability within me. The water, since it is raining, it is really beautiful to just go for a walk and see the water gathering in on the floor or something. So it was really beautiful to watch that as well. I think it was more about the nature for me in this goddess. Yeah, so thank you for sharing, all of you, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Azadeh. Yeah, sounds like everyone's really tapping into Kali as time, which makes a lot of sense. So I'll do my share. So I really am enjoying just having an excuse to do more disciplined, mindful practices. I've enjoyed like sometimes when I'm a little lazy and the covers in bed are really cozy and it's hard to get out of bed to start the practice, like it's even becoming more second nature for me to do a silent soham. And so that feels like a way of honoring and utilizing Kali's energy to step into the practice. As far as time goes with her, Kali feels like such an expansive energy. I'm looking forward to other goddesses just as much to see how they channel, because Kali to me almost didn't feel like channeling energy. It felt really expansive. Like I had a lot of big abstract thoughts this week about time and the nature of things, like drawing off of Azadeh's share. Like I never want to spiritually bypass, but really seeing things as just like a speck of dust, you know, or like Carl Sagan's pale blue dot, seeing Earth from outer space. It's like, sure, these things have meaning and human suffering is real and we should do everything in our capacity to, you know, minimize it or make it go away. But at the same time, it's like, it's just all happening and it's just all flowing. And it's helpful for my, I think, my mental health to see things that way. Also as time, like in the treatment room, I was working with someone and it was a 2-hour session and it felt like the first like half hour like whizzed by. I looked at the clock, I was like, wow, like I can't believe half an hour has passed. And then I was doing, you know, craniosacral and I got into this hold and a lot was happening and I felt like forever had gone by and I looked at the clock and 5 minutes had passed. And I just very much had this like, this, I don't know, this like spark of belief or something where I was like, that time doesn't follow the rules that we say it does according to the clock. Like, sure, if you're attached to counting and if you really live your life according to the watch, then a minute really is 60 seconds for you. But I think as you start to shed those layers of learnings that were kind of, you know, brought up in, yeah, you can really start to explore just how expansive time is. One of the other things that I got pondering with the prompts, so Kali is beauty. I started thinking about beauty and it brought me to kind of a Sufi, Rumi place where like when I'm in the presence of beauty, and often that's nature inspired for me, but it can also be like, you know, art or anything. Beauty happens so many ways. It can be a smell, it can be a sound, it can be music. But it inspires in me that like that longing that Rumi talks about, that longing that is like forever drawing you towards the beloved. And then and that to me made me think that being in the presence of love, or sorry, of beauty makes me feel love. And then I got to wondering where the word love gets mentioned in Tantra. And I'm not sure, maybe I've just glazed over it, but I don't feel like I've seen that particular word. So that was something I got curious about. And I've been leaning into a lot of surrendering myself and my control to Kali, because there's some interesting change going on in my life, like the living situation, my office building. There's a lot of things that could change really quickly soon. And I don't have enough details to make any decisions, so I just have to surrender. And while that is scary at first, there's my 4 minutes, it actually feels good to surrender that control. So thanks everybody for your shares. I am super excited that everyone's really stepping into this and that everyone is enjoying it. Ariel, thanks for being here. No worries on passing the share. It's great to have you here anyway. And so if maybe like the next 5 minutes. It won't take long to go through the Chhinnamasta slides. If anyone wants to like address anyone else's share, please feel free now.
Kieran, I wanted to say when you were talking about beauty, I really don't know if it was Frowley or somebody else, but they were defining beauty as harmony. And when I think about beauty or love, if you think about it as harmonious vibrations, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, why do we feel love, beauty, tranquility when we're walking in nature? Or why do we feel it when we're working with our horse, when we're on the same rhythm of breath or the electromagnetic fields within our bodies with the tree or the horse or another person, right? And then that defines beauty right there. That came to mind when you were speaking.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And thank you for that, because I do think those become synonymous when you get really abstract with the definitions. When you get big, it's like, yeah, love, harmony, balance, all of that. It just struck me that I haven't really seen the word love in like Frawley's books, but like I said, I could be glazing past them for whatever reason.
Well, it's interesting. When you think about love, and whether you're talking about it on the gross, pranic, or causal plane, then does love really have a meaning? I don't know. That's why I think
That point.
it's quite interesting when you're talking about the goddesses.
It's true. Yeah, it's interesting to see it from different traditions, because like I said, like in Sufism with Rumi, like love, he's constantly writing about love and the beloved. So it could just be a lexicon difference, like a linguistic thing.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
Great.
Um,
Can I share? It's Ariel. Sorry. Oh,
Hey.
I would think that love
Oh, we've got two people
is
vying.
an extension. I would think that love is an extension of yourself. Into another person, or some like husband to wife love is very intimate, romantic, and there's all different levels of love. So I think that we still need to have love. It's harmonious, but not always harmonious.
Thank you. Yeah, there certainly seem to be different like levels of love, but then it makes you wonder like what's lowercase l love and what's capital L love. Ariel, were you going to say something?
hey, hey everyone. I'm here with my roommate and her sister. Yeah, I didn't really get a chance to completely go over everything, so I'm kind of still catching up. But I wanted to talk about like how I feel like I interacted with Holly, like as I was thinking about it, as everybody was talking and sharing their experiences. I feel like this week, so I got sick this week and I just got like a sinus infection. But of course, like it was really like my relationship to time right now has just been feeling very off because like the job that I work in a daycare center, so it's like times right now like everything just feels very anxious and like rushed for me. Like that's just how I've been feeling, and I feel like a lot of anxiety and just like pressure just because of just like how everything is affected. And it makes me think about how one thing is just like everything has a domino effect and we're all connected because like this virus is like affecting all of us in different parts of the world in a different way. And like when I got sick, I had to literally like my physical body made me like stop time by like I couldn't go to work because I did get tested for COVID. Everything I'm fine. I don't have COVID, but I it just like I literally like when I had to like force myself to like stop and just like think about it and like think about how I feel and like just everything, and made me feel like like just being sick like just showed me, like when I really sat down and thought about it, my partner asked me like, how do you think you got sick? And at first I was just like, oh, because I'm around I'm around other people, so And then I thought about it. I'm like, no. I'm like, I've been so stressed. I haven't like had a chance to stop at all. I've been literally like just in rush mode and like in go mode, and I haven't been able to like slow things down. And I feel like over the past 4 days, like I've been able to physically like let go of a lot of things that I know about myself, like in the process of just like everyday life. I didn't do anything. I was just home, but it was just like a lot of things, like the world was still going on around me. So it's like I still had to, like, while my world was like stopped inside of my home, it's like I still have to interact with it on the outside. And it made me think like this week, like a lot of my suffering, like I've caused to myself, and just the fact that I have put so much pressure on myself and like things that are not real on myself, because like I'm letting the external world, like, just like penetrate like my being and like who I am and like how I feel about myself so much that I'm not stopping to literally like, just like kill it, like Kali, like, just like destroy that thought, because those, like, how, like, what the outside world thinks of me is not really how I think about myself, but it's also how I connect with it. So it's like, it's like, it's very, like, it gets very contradictory. And I just feel like I don't want to be like going on an ongoing rant, but I just feel like this week, like my relationship with time, I really thought about it a lot and in like different ways, because I just felt like sometimes when you're inside like of your own self, it just feels like I just feel like sometimes you are able to like detach and just destroy parts of yourself that don't really matter. But it's like sometimes if you keep like letting something run you, it can just like, it can literally destroy parts of yourself that you don't realize until you stop and like you really, like, I guess, analyze like how you're healing and how you are really feeling. And I feel like this week, like my relationship with time, I really have been able to like think about it, because I always feel so anxious about time. But I've also felt like this week I was able to, like, I had to physically stop my body, and it made me realize that, like, I don't have to feel so rushed to do everything, but at the same time I feel like, um I really do have to work on my healing and like really stay in tune with myself. And I have to like kill those parts of myself that I keep like reliving these old patterns and habits that I have. So it's like it's not healing me at all to keep like, letting this external world like rule me so much. And I think like that's a part of myself that I have to like, like let die, because it's like it's not serving me in any way, shape, or form. And I know like I have to find ways to like stay connected with this world, but also disconnect. So I feel like that's how I've been dealing with time. I know that's, I said a lot, but I hope that you all understood what I'm trying to say. But I just feel like, yeah, I really, this week has made me feel different about like how I spend my time with myself, and like what that really is doing, because I realize that like at my job, it's like I feel so responsible for so many people because I am a manager. And then I also feel like though, like nothing is ever going to heal if I keep like focusing so much on them and I'm not focusing on myself, because I'm
Yeah,
supposed
I'm gonna stop you there. Thank you so much for that share. I've just been giving 4 minutes to everybody just to honor the time, and we still have to get to Chhinnamasta, but those sound like some really, really beautiful insights and revelations, and really happy for you, and I'm happy that you're healthy. So thank you for that share.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mute everybody again. Thank you so much for the shares. And we're just gonna do a quick little breeze through Chhinnamasta to go over her qualities and how we wanna work with her this coming week. Screen share. Okay, so Chhinnamasta, she is the goddess without the head, the severed head. She is going beyond the body consciousness, and so and also going beyond the mind consciousness. Her seed mantra is Shreem, and David Frawley writes that Shreem is the mantra of inner transformation, composed of Ha, which indicates prana, space, and light, then Ra, indicating fire, light, and dharma, and then E, which indicates energy, focus, and motivation. Shreem is the prime mantra of the goddess and all of her three main powers of creation, preservation, and destruction. Therefore, it is the main Shakti mantra. And he mentions that it has a more specific application than Aim, A-I-M. Shreem is a mantra of magical force, captivation, and empowerment. It brings about joy, ecstasy, and bliss. It both purifies and exalts us in our inner quest, humbling us before the divine power so that it can enter into our heart. Shreem can be used to counter heart disease, aiding in longevity and rejuvenation. It helps promote the pranic and functional aspect of the heart, and with it the power of circulation of blood, the lungs, and the nervous system. It generally has pitta energy, but some vata. Shreem relates to the sun, the planet of the heart. It promotes solar energy, expression, and charisma. And it has a soft and harsh form. As a soft mantra, it can increase the finer energies of the heart. And as a harsh mantra, it can be used to hypnotize or captivate, to dissolve or carry away. And then the longer mantra we have down here, Om Shreem 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 Aim Vajra Vairokaniye Hum Hum Fat Swaha. I was going to have Mom demonstrate that. We're a little short on time, but maybe as a little closing, she can chant that for us. We shall see. So then her form, we see that Chhinnamasta, she has the severed head, symbolizing liberating our consciousness from the body and the mind. She has the head chopper, which represents the power of discrimination, viveka. Her outstretched tongue symbolizes the power of mantra, while her companions, Dakini and Varnini, they symbolize the Ida and the Pingala, which come off of the Sushumna, which is symbolized by the central spurt of blood. She's also dancing atop two lovers, the symbolism of which I'm not super sure about, but you know, that always the emergence of feminine and masculine, the emergence of the yin and yang, which is so present in Tantra, Shiva and Shakti. So the meditational approaches outlined by Frawley are the mantra, Shreem, or her long one, the form that we just went over, her yantra, which I have at the end of the slideshow. Puja, if you want to have anything burning or have any water around you. She is one of the main goddesses to worship for, I never know how to pronounce this, Dhyana yoga, as that is the yoga of knowledge, which requires pure seeing. Then also meditation upon the seer. When we cease to focus on perception as real and introvert our consciousness into the seer, the kaleidoscopic pattern of perception will resolve itself like waves into the ocean of pure awareness. I just found that Frawley statement so poetic. He says, to best worship Chhinnamasta, one should meditate upon the seer and withdraw one's attention from the object seen. This is based upon the recognition that the seer is not an object, and that anything cognized by the mind as an object of perception, including the ego or self-image, must be apart from our true nature. Merge one's mind into the state of seeing and forget both subject and object. This requires that we concentrate on the nature of seeing and stop dwelling on the seer or the seen. Hence, the cultivation of pure and direct perception is the prime method of worshiping Chhinnamasta. This requires cultivating awareness and no longer trying to locate our reality in any time, place, or person. Actually, we don't really see any objects. We merely have perceptions, which are thoughts. Through the naming process, designate as various objects. So, retracting towards or into the seer. So her qualities that we can ponder, Chhinnamasta's liberation, which, you know, the joy of transcending the body as opposed to the fear of losing it, the vision of infinity and the entire universe, realizing that what we do with our senses is experience just a limited aspect of the entire universe, and accepting that the pleasure the body can bring is far less than the pain, sorrow, and disease. So finding that reason to transcend it. She's described as transformation in action. So you can ponder, do you actually feel liberated? Like really ponder that word. What does it mean to you? And what liberates you? Can you think of a specific experience when you felt like you were being liberated, or you felt very liberated? And observing what it means to you to liberate your consciousness from the body or the mind. She is also Prachanda Chandika, Chandi being Kali, and so Prachanda being the fierce form of Kali, fierceness as a warrioress in that literal moment of transformation. And we'll go into this more as we just explore her as destruction and what it means to destroy the ego. She's also the dynamic form of atmosphere. I don't really know what that means, something to explore. Frawley described Kali and Chandi more as earth, whereas Prachanda Chandika more as atmosphere. So asking yourself, can you actually identify the moment of transformation? That's an interesting thing to ponder, because sometimes things take time and they stew and things have to come together, but is there an actual moment? And you can just observe to yourself what is transforming right now, today, or lately. So she's Indrani, lightning, destruction. So as the consort of Indra, who wields the thunderbolt, she represents the instantaneous enlightenment, the electrical energy of transformation, the lightning bolt of insight that destroys the power of ignorance and lifts us beyond the skies, the power of destruction, which is the negation of the manifest sphere into the unborn and uncreate beyond, the prayala, or the end. So this is where that destruction idea comes in, and that transformation action and the instantaneous aspect of it. It seems almost like something that you can't really think about. It's more something like maybe it just happens. I think to think about it is to circumnavigate it maybe, but that's just me. You can ask yourself how available to insight you are, whether it's your own insight or if it came from someone else. And coming into a relationship with insight, like, do you have to work for it, or is it something that appears? Do you have to have a different, like, do you have to be practicing? Do you have to be more present and therefore practicing things that make you more present? Like, what is your relationship to insight? And then you can start exploring what insights have been arriving lately, or on the day that you're journaling or pondering. Chhinnamasta as Kundalini. She's the Kundalini Shakti flowing upwards from the base of the spine to burst open from the crown chakra and stream out into the infinite. Frawley writes about the three granthis, or the knots, one at the root, which represents our bondage or attachment to speech, one at the heart, representing attachment to emotion, and the third one at the third eye, which is our bondage to thought. Chhinnamasta represents Rudra, which is the knot in the head, and with her you can pierce it, which allows transcendence of the body and the mind altogether. You can start to ponder how you activate your Kundalini Shakti energy. I'm sure there's many ways that people come into contact with it. And you can start observing those three granthis and really start watching how you perceive them and how maybe you move through them. So here we've got her form and her yantra, and that's going to do it for Chhinnamasta. And it's 10:01, so that's perfect on time. I'll go ahead and stop this share. So yeah, I don't want to take up any more than an hour of people's times. I'm excited to gather again next week. I see that Mom has a question, but I do just want to say, and we can chat about this more via email or the chat, the WhatsApp chat. I am starting a course in Japanese acupuncture that will actually occupy this exact time slot on Sundays. So I'm wondering if we can push it to like maybe 2 hours later than what we've been doing. So it's been 9 a.m. for us, maybe more like 11:30 actually is what I would like to do. But that's a detail that we can address later or now, depending on everybody's preferences. Thanks everybody for being here. Mom, what did you want to say?
I just wanted to touch on how Chhinnamasta is of the atmosphere and lightning. and that transformational energy. And one way to look at it is that when a goddess is correlated more with the earth, we're talking about 3 realms. So you have the earthly realm, the pranic realm, which could be the atmosphere of movement and energy, and then you have the causal realm. So a lot of times when we're looking at the goddesses and they are actually being related to the physical earth, atmosphere, or heavens, that's what they're talking about, those 3 worlds. So Chhinnamasta is beyond the mind. So if she's beyond the mind, she's beyond perception. And that is where that thunderbolt, that Rajasic energy to bring you beyond, to break you from your attachment to the senses in this sense object world, to transcend or go beyond that. That might be a way to think about her, to be helpful.
That's helpful. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, anybody else have anything to add? And I'm seeing in the chat that that time slot could work for people, so thank you for that. Annette's nodding along, so a different time slot could work for you. I feel like that's late for Azadeh, huh? No? Okay. Okay, that's gonna do it. If anyone would like to stick around, I did ask Mom if she would just demonstrate the long mantra for Chhinnamasta. No pressure to do that though. But yeah, we can end the session with just a little mantra observation.
Okay. Om Shrim Hrim Hrim Aim Vaja Vairo Janiye Hum Hum Fat Swaha. Om Shrim Hrim Hrim Aim Vajra Vairo Janiye Hum Hum Fat Swaha. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thanks, Mom. That was beautiful. It gives me an idea of some pronunciation as well. Okay, with that, I think we'll close today, and I'll send more details via email and WhatsApp for the exact time slot next week, and I'll be excited to see you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Namaste. Bye.
Okay, bye, everybody.